what's up? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How have you been, brother?
I'm doing all right. You know, the best I can over here.
Yo.
Arturo.
¿Qué pasó, amigo?
What's up?
Not much, man.
Arthur, this is Brendan. Brendan, Arthur.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
you, bud. Alive and well.
It's good to see both of you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, Sebastian. Life's a little kooky, but look at what we're doing, man. We're making the best.
It was so funny, like, when you reached out, Arthur, about what happened to you, and I was like, oh, my God, like, I did a podcast with Brendan way back in the day when he was talking about, like, the same situation, and so I figured, you know, both of you guys are hilarious, and
I'm willing to pimp out my trauma, no questions asked.
Yeah, same here. I'm good, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I'm glad to hear it.
You have 4 kidneys in your ear right now, Sebastian.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to What Happened to You. Today, I've got 2 stand-up comedians who I've known for quite some time now, actually. Brendan Ryan and Arthur Rezian. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for
happy to be here.
me, man.
The idea for this podcast, for What Happened to You, actually came from the first podcast I ever did, which was with Brendan Ryan.
Yeah.
And Chris Maraboli. Shout out. We just got right into molestation, like pretty much immediately. It was probably 3 months into doing stand-up, and you guys were nice enough to have me on, and it just became this really cool discussion about everything that happened with you, Brendan, and Chris, and it was all different types of experiences, but it was just like this sort of like immediate comfort level that was attained by like all of us just being willing to like share what happened to us without any sort of shame or remorse or anything, and it was just like, I don't know, it was a very fun experience, and I didn't know what to expect, but I just it was such a good feeling.
That was a lot of fun. If I remember correctly, I think we did like an open mic, and then we went to like some restaurant and just threw microphones on the table.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was great. There was something about being in like an empty restaurant. Everything just flows, you know? You feel like you're alone. We were in a booth. Like it just worked.
That's right.
And then I think we did it again on the other podcast too.
Yes.
So we continued the conversation, and I'm glad to continue it on your podcast now.
Wow, yeah. I think what you guys are describing is a trauma bonding, and that's awesome.
That's right.
It is trauma bonding.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of a universal thing. Like, I mean, whenever you are willing to talk about what happened to you, like people just feel okay sharing whatever happened to them. So that's been the theme of the podcast. And it so happens that both of you have had very similar experiences. So Brendan, if you want to kick it off.
So yeah, I was born with one kidney. It was a pelvic kidney. So it was like sort of born in the front of my kidney was in the front, you know? And
you're about to go medical, but then you went,
yeah. I'm not going to, I don't know.
And you went longshoreman. That's great. Yeah.
And, you know, as luck would have it, that kidney didn't work so well. So when I was about 13, I guess that's when I found out I was going to probably have to need a kidney transplant. And then I didn't get one till I was like 16. Till I was like 16. I didn't get my first kidney transplant. I was 16, and I got that one from my mom, and I had that for 10 years, and then I got the next one from my dad. And here I am today. That's my story in a nutshell. We can break it open more if you want.
Yeah.
Right. Can I jump in here? Can I lay my? So I believe 3 years old, diagnosed with atypical hemolytic uremic syndrome. I don't know what that is. Don't ask me. I just know the name of it. So 6 years old, get my dad's kidney. That lasted 10 years. And then got my mom's kidney. That's going on 14 years and still have it. So
wow.
So we're flipped on the parentals and a similar timeline and freaking, yeah, we're both kidney boys.
I love this. Dude, I'm excited. Like, forget about the podcast. I'm just excited to meet somebody else with 2 kidney transplants.
Another kidney boy from the parent, right? Like it's
exactly.
Oh man.
So the 10 years for the first one too. What is about the 10-year mark?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Daddy only lasted me 10, bro, but he went strong. He went strong for a while.
Years.
Yeah.
Damn. So
dude,
that's
pretty cool. Sorry.
That's no, not at all. It's just like wild to, because is it pretty common like to need a second kidney after getting the first one replaced?
Yes, or not. I don't know about common, but so the science is you're putting a foreign thing in your body, right? So just like a disease, et cetera, your body will try to reject it, and the meds are only advanced so far and they can only do so much. And then eventually your body's like, no, I'm better than that. They start rejecting the kidney. So you need the other parent, and then you start needing siblings and people from Mexico and all kinds of crazy shit. So,
right. Yeah. What's next?
So, hey,
Sebastian, how are your kidneys?
Yeah, I'm going to be collecting one from each of you pretty soon here. I might have to.
So that's how it works. Listen, I did your podcast. You owe me a favor.
Exactly. Equivalent, actually. Right. That is of equal value.
Yeah. Just before we continue, Arthur, I don't know if you can hear it, Brendan, but it's like a little bit delayed.
With Arthur?
I think so.
Yeah, it's a little delayed. I mean, I don't want to speak bad about another kidney transplant too. It seems like your computer stinks.
We're kidney brothers, dude. Hey, I built this thing myself. Don't freaking come on.
I don't know what's worse, your computer function or your renal function.
Shit. Wow, you got me.
Don't sweat it. We'll be fine.
Come on, you can work it in post, Sebastian.
Yeah, we'll smooth it out in post, dude. That is wild though. So what was it like when you first realized that you had to get a new one? Because you were both relatively young.
I remember my there's like a thing called creatinine, and my numbers kept kind of raising slowly, and I was fairly healthy and I felt fine, but it got to the point where you do your I was going, I guess, every few months I would see my doctor. And I remember I was working and I got the call and they're like, you're either, they started talking about dialysis. Now, Arthur, have you ever been on dialysis?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yes,
so I never have.
So how did you go 3 years from finding out you probably needed one to getting one?
Well, they sort of, I guess they knew it wasn't working. They tried. I took some medication when I was young, like some kind of. They were gonna, this will help him out, but it never really worked. I guess they sort of saw the writing on the wall.
Interesting, because with the meds, my grandma made me drink beet juice, and I'm sure that did absolutely nothing.
Wow, I never
in her mind,
beet juice.
Yeah, it's nothing.
I found this out recently. So I did another podcast about kidney transplants. That's my thing. That's my thing now. My comedy is all right, but so let's hear about his problems. So I talked to my dad, and my dad told me. Around that time when I was around, a few years before my first transplant, the hospital actually wanted me to go on dialysis before. They were under the belief that I wouldn't appreciate the kidney or something if I didn't go on dialysis.
What the fuck does that mean?
It was weird. I don't know. But
you gotta earn this fucking kidney, bro. You
gotta earn it. I was very lucky that my parents were both matches. So we were like, well, we're going to do this now. My health was starting to, I wasn't feeling great. I remember I was a kid. So I remember playing sports and not I was just kind of sleepy all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember being 16 or 15 around that time and saying, let's do it this summer. And I don't know, my parents told the doctor, we're going to do this now because I'm not going to put my son through dialysis if we can do a kidney transplant now. That makes sense. But I thought it was interesting that was their way of looking at it. I kind of get it. You don't know who you're dealing with. As a kid, you could be a disaster, and you don't want somebody to ruin a kidney. So I never had to deal with what is that like? Because I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid I'm going to have to do it one day. Dialysis.
Oh, it sucks a lot.
Yeah.
It's analogous to chemo in that you're there all the time, or frequently rather. For me, I lost 30 pounds on it or something like that. My hair was falling out. But I've heard people describe chemo as the feeling of battery acid going through your veins. You don't get that with dialysis. You do not. So we're like the softcore version of chemo.
But do you feel weird when it's happening? What is it? So explain, what is dialysis? It filters the blood through a machine, right?
Yes, it does. There's a freaking machine that does the job that your kidneys should have done. and like my sessions were like 4 hours, and I just watched Married with Children the whole time. So I don't know. I got an odd crush on Al Bundy. It's freaking
weird. Something happened.
Yep. There he goes again.
I'm just going to go no webcam then.
Yep.
No. All right. Keep the picture or whatever, man. It's fine. You know what? They don't want to see my ugly mug anyway. Shaved for this and everything, but
it's all good. So you're talking about dialysis, and it's the bitchy version of chemo. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny for me to like just hear about these experiences because I really don't know anything about it, but I know the impact that joking about your experience can have in terms of making it easier to talk about. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, when did you first start making jokes about what happened to you? And what was that like for whoever would like to answer?
Always Brandon.
I started, I think around the time that I met you, or just around that time, I started, like on stage, I started doing kidney transplant jokes. Mm-hmm. Is that right? I'm asking you like you know my history.
No, I remember you talking about it. Yeah, I do remember that actually. Yeah.
I remember doing it and you were there and you were like, that was really good. And it was like one of the first few times I started working out, like doing kidney transplant jokes on stage.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man, it was really interesting because I found a lot of other people that had transplants. It's you don't realize you say one thing and you think it's only you. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm all alone. This is really different. This is totally interesting. I'm nobody. Nobody has gone through this experience, right? Mm-hmm. But then after the show, people would come up and be like, "That's crazy." You know, so and so. My aunt had a kidney transplant. I had a I had a liver transplant. You'd meet all these people.
Yeah.
So once I did it, it was pretty cool. It was like I felt like I was in a different territory. You know, as far as telling jokes, because it was like, it's hard to explain. I guess I don't have much to say.
How many years in did I start making kidney jokes? Yeah.
Early, I guess maybe 3 to 4 years in. I do get a weird reaction sometimes when I bring it up. That's the other thing. I remember when I started doing kidney jokes, I felt like a weirdness in the crowd. Mm-hmm. Like you can kind of feel like people being like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I've never felt that before. The
reaction I hate most is oh
yeah, there was that.
Yeah,
which is brutal. You never want to hear that, but it was also you can feel people tense up in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird when you start talking. And Sebastian, you've talked about stuff like that on stage, but not, but your own issues.
Yes, totally. Oh,
it's a vibe. You get a vibe. I don't know what it is.
Yes, it's very interesting. It's you. Well, I think part of it is how relaxed you are when you're doing the material. That's the audience can tell if you're comfortable with what you're saying. And I think when you first start out, especially, it's so easy to see that like you're just as shocked that you're talking about this stuff on stage as they are. And I think that makes everybody feel less relaxed. And then over with time, you can sort of figure out how to present the material in a way that makes them feel like, okay, this guy's okay. I felt exactly the same way. And it was so weird after I would do molestation material initially and just like, I generally bomb and then like get off stage and like nobody wants to interact with you after you talked about getting molested and it wasn't funny. So that was eye
contact. Everybody just sort of looks away. Like,
Yes, exactly. And that was like why I was so thankful for you, Brendan and Chris, was like, you guys, I mean, you were my first friends in comedy. It was so nice to have people that were just like, you guys knew where I was at and you were willing to look past the fact that I had just bombed and just like, it was.
Everybody bombs though, you know?
Yeah. Of course. But at that time, it's like bombing is life or death. It's like, it was just so, it was so brutal.
And you're laying your soul on the line with your material.
Yeah.
That is savagery, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference when somebody's joking about, I had a crazy night last night, and you're talking about, you know, getting molested. It's a different TV show what you're doing.
It's the getting molested all over again. It's
yes.
It really is, dude. I respected you right from the get-go from doing that, though. You know, and people don't know how to react to that stuff, and that's what I was saying. Like when I do kidney transplant jokes, on my thing, like there's a weird energy. Nobody knows how to react. Do I laugh at this?
Right. But that's why it was like, I remember when I first saw you do the kidney material, and I was like blown away just because it's like, it's so impactful. Like you can tell when somebody's talking about like something real rather than just like some, you know, just a fucking, you know, set up punchline, right? Like it's actually who you are. It's a massive part of your upbringing, and it's cool to see people bear that and just like fucking, here's who I am, you know, and just be willing to kind of put it on the line. And it was, I was so psyched when I first saw that material. It was so dope. Man. What about you, Arthur? When did you start joking about it?
I want to say pretty close to right away, you know, because it's like, I mean, I'm sure we're going to face this problem forever as long as we're doing stand-up. But it's like, what the hell do I talk about? What is a premise that I could do?
Yeah.
And so for me, it just turned out like, well, you know what? I got this funky story. So let me lay this on the line.
Yeah.
So I would say like 6 months. And dude, like I took my shirt off on stage and it's a mess, bro. It's a freaking mess. So if you bomb with your surgical scars, it's more just faces of confusion and disgust and just like, why is this guy doing this? Right. And it's funny that you guys, like I have this, I guess, problem where like I'll meet another kidney transplanted person and I'll be like, ew, get away from me. Like, I don't want this is my thing. Like, I don't want to share this. It's like, you got one too. Great. Like, I don't want to be in this sad kidney group. Like, let's just all, you know, shake hands and part ways. But again, it's just me being selfish and not wanting to face the truth, I guess, you know, because I am a kidney boy to the core.
So you mean like you don't want to be like roped into sort of like the sad aspect of it?
Yeah, it's just I just don't want this pity party.
Yeah.
You know? This freaking, it's like I don't want to be talking about this. So I don't want you to be talking to me about this. So like let's just all forget I said anything and just move on. You know,
that's interesting. Yeah,
it's odd. Yeah.
I mean, it's similar with molestation, where you know, when people bring it up, the reaction is so often just like negative. Like people just feel so bad for you, and like it doesn't feel good to make people feel that way. So it's a lot easier to just not bring it up. But that's why it's like I feel like it's so important to have conversations like these and to be doing stand up about it, because it's like you can show people like, hey, this doesn't have to be this super negative thing. I mean, you can spin it however you want to. It's all just based on your perspective. But I completely empathize with that. And
and as personal as it is, it almost makes it general. When you talk about it on stage, it makes it impersonal almost, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm throwing this stuff out to you guys. It's chew on it, think about it. Like when you say it in your bit, like, this is your problem now, you know?
Right.
You say that's about,
that's great.
Yeah.
And also as a comedian, like you were saying, Arthur, like if you have something that's unique to you, like you have to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's so hard to find like let me find my own bits. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is so unique to you. How could you not talk about it?
Yeah.
You know, how could you not? That's what we do. We talk about ourselves.
Exactly.
And this is the biggest thing in our lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did these experiences impact the relationship with your guys' parents? Because that's obviously like a huge, you know, thing to be able to do for your kid. And obviously it's amazing that they were compatible. I know that that's like a big thing with kidneys, right? Is making sure you're a match and stuff.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Were they psyched to give you a kidney, or did you have to convince them a little bit?
I didn't have to convince them. I was a kid. So they were happy to do it. I mean, I don't know. My parents, I think it's made me closer with my parents. You know, I mean, it's a pretty unique bond to have.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I'm super lucky, but you know, Arthur has the same thing, so maybe I'm not so lucky. You know,
you're not unique, bro.
I'm not as different as I thought.
You're not a snowflake. You're a freaking human. Yeah.
No, but I have a great relationship with my parents, and you know, it's something different than my friends have with their parents, I guess.
Yeah, it's. I'm kind of a piece of shit kid in that, like, I just take them for granted. Like, I'm like, oh, you'll give me 1,000 kidneys. I know you will. So, you know, let's not even think about it. But in all honesty, like it's very deep. It's like, holy shit, next level. Because there are people that won't go through with it. There are people that won't receive the kidney and people that won't undergo the surgery to give, even though they're compatible, you know, over like some just anxiety or whatever it may be. And it's like, you're just going to opt for dialysis for a decade. Like, just, you know, go under the knife, fucking do it. So I'm just glad my parents, you know, no questions asked. Dude, I can't even imagine. Do you have any kids, Brendan or Sebastian?
No, I don't.
No, me neither.
Not that you know of, huh?
No, not that I know of.
My point being is, like, talk about narcissism. We're in our heads all the time. But then when you have that more important than you thing walking around, I assume it's like, yeah, I'll give him my kidney. I'll give him my fucking, I'll die for you type deal becomes very real, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to, I had family over around that time, and I remember hearing like an uncle or somebody was like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it for my kids. And it wasn't even a question with my parents, both of them. And also other people in my life, like my sister. And I've had friends that like, in a minute, I would give a kidney for you. And it's like, it's pretty incredible. Because I don't know if I would do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I have to give you a kidney? What the?
I want my kidneys.
Yeah,
they're mine.
I'm going to keep them.
I'm a conservative when it comes to kidneys. Like,
yeah, listen, I'm going to keep these babies with me. But like, it blows my mind that, and you know, it's funny. So my first kidney transplant, I didn't appreciate it. Like it was like, yeah, all right, this is what you do. And I remember like the few years after, it might've just been my age. You know, I was 16, 17, 18. I remember talking to my mother after, I was a shitty kid after that. Like I didn't treat my mom the way she should. Like I was kind of a jerk. Not like I wasn't being like, yeah, it's about time you gave me that kidney. But I was, I was just like I was a dumb teenager, you know? So it took me a few years to like really appreciate it. And I do, of course, now. But I remember afterwards, after that first kidney transplant, I felt great. I felt better than I've ever had. And it was like almost like a new leash on life. And I remember my mom telling me, like, after she gave me this kidney, I just turned into this nightmare of a person. And it's weird. It might have just been the time, you know, when you're that age, but like, I didn't.
You were set free, baby. You were set free. Yeah.
Arthur, did you feel like crappy like before your transplant? Do you remember feeling after the first transplant? Did you feel like significantly better?
So I was 6 years old when I got my first one. Yeah. So I don't remember.
Okay.
Anything besides I was about to make a molestation joke.
Dude, it's one of the only places it's totally acceptable to do so.
That's where to do it.
Oh man,
I was gonna say, you don't remember anything from 6?
Besides all the dicks, no, freaking. So I was 16 when I got my second, and I'm still in the same boat. Like I kind of currently, I mean, I appreciate it. Of course, I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm an adult, but like, I don't act sick. You know what I mean? Like there are people that, like, let me ask you this, Brendan, like with COVID going on, are you, because we're immunosuppressed, right? So we're more vulnerable, et cetera. Like, are you living your life a certain way? Are you on the quarantine vibe, or like, what's your deal with it?
I'm nervous in general because I'm a nervous person. So I'm as careful as I can be. But I'm doing comedy shows. I'm hosting shows. I'm out. I'm not that person either. I don't act like I'm a sick person. I'm healthy. I feel fine, just as good as the other person around me. I'm not a sympathy case. I don't feel that way at all. I'm on the same page. I am careful, but I'm as careful as I can be. I have to live my life too,
Yeah, I'm not even careful. I went to Mexico. I went to Florida.
I went to Las Vegas. I went to Las Vegas to do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. So I guess I'm not being that careful either. I'm wearing a mask if that helps, but
since you guys are both immunosuppressed, you get early access to things like vaccines, right?
Oh, baby, that vaccine.
I'm afraid to take that vaccine.
Likewise.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, what? So let's say they came out with a vaccine that for COVID that was like, all right, this is 95% effective, or whatever.
Which I think they did.
Is that established now?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So they say.
So you guys are both. What would be your take on that?
I'm gonna wait. I want to let the first group of people check it out, dude. I get nervous when I get a flu shot. I'm like, I feel my veins. I'm a freak, dude. I don't do well with that stuff. So like, I'm afraid to do this right away. Mm-hmm. I am. I'm like I said, I'm a nervous person.
Yeah.
I agree. I listen to a lot of Alex Jones. No, fucking. No, but like, I don't even get my flu shot regularly. And like, being kidney transplanted, you got to go to the dermatologist once a year. I don't even do that. Being chronically ill, you got to be doctor oriented. But I'm just so not.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm not saying, bro, but like, is it better for our health? Are we screwing ourselves in the long run?
Probably. But so I got the flu shot this year, the first year I got the flu shot in many years. And I only got it because my dad made me.
There you go.
Because I was going to Vegas. He's like, at least get the flu shot. My dad had to take me to the CVS to get a flu shot. He had to drive me. He's like, listen, I know you're not going to do it by yourself, so I'll take you. Let's go. We'll do it together.
The thing is, they switched it out for the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. And then the dermatologist, I'm fair skinned, so I have like things on I've had to get things removed from me. But even that I don't keep up with.
Right. I'm
terrible. I'm a terrible patient. I feel like I've been through all this stuff. I don't want to deal with it. I have friends, my sister being one of them, is somebody that loves to go to the doctor. She has a headache, she goes to the doctor. I'm like, what do you mean?
That's funny.
I'm like, you're wasting your time. What are they going to say? Take an Excedrin? Like, I barely go. I have to be pulled out of my apartment to go to the doctor, which is probably a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, no, we're guys, dude. That's how it goes.
It's funny. You're the same way. We're very similar with that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I wonder if that's a thing. Like, it's like we've seen enough.
Let me ask you. Well, first of all, let me ask you, Sebastian. Do you have any medical shenanigans going on?
I've had a bunch of concussions. I had.
Why is that funny? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I got them all in college when I was playing soccer. And
wow, the fruitiest concussion you could get.
Yeah, I know. People don't really
not football. Yeah,
that's right. It's interesting. I'm trying to be less. I feel like the more paranoid I am about it, the more likely I am to get hit in the head. Like when I was in college, like I was constantly worrying about it, and it felt like it made more concussions happen. And so I'm trying to not worry about it so much, but I am definitely paranoid about them just because it's so easy to get them the more you get. But I haven't really had any sort of lasting. I haven't had any like surgeries in the sense that you guys have had, but it's interesting. And you also also said something, Brendan, about how like you weren't cool with, like, right after it happened, like you were kind of shitty towards your mom despite this thing having happened and her having given you a kidney. And I had a similar experience where after I spoke up to my parents about getting molested and we went to court, it's like, even though I wasn't necessarily shitty towards them, but I felt like I wasn't appreciating what they were doing for me that much. Like at the high school soccer games, the guy who molested me was there because of the restraining order. He still had the right to go see his son's soccer games.
Was he the one giving you concussions too?
Yeah, maybe not officially diagnosed, but he definitely racked up a couple.
He tripped you.
Yeah. But I remember, so all the parents would like stand in front of the guy and like block his vision, right? And so that he couldn't see the field. And in retrospect, I'm like so thankful that they did that. Yeah. Like that was such a nice thing that they were doing. But at the time I was like kind of embarrassed, and I was like, just like, stop making a big deal about it, you know? And I feel like we have a tendency to sort of just like, you know, for whatever reason, just not want it to be like a big deal, whatever we've been through. And I think that maybe that's part of it's almost like a defense mechanism. Like, let's just like, don't even make it a big deal that you gave me your kidney, mom, you know, something like that.
That's funny.
It's 100% a defense mechanism.
Yeah. It's great that a bunch of parents can come together and be some cock blockers. That's awesome.
That's right.
Sorry, I was sitting on that one.
Yeah. It's good. That is what it was. And that's how but at the time you're just like, you just kind of want to live your life, and like you don't want it to be you don't want to be identified as like the kid who got molested or the kid who got a kidney, you know.
Dude,
want a normal life.
Well, look, bro, as a teenager, you don't even want to have your acne noticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let alone
invisible. So when I first got my transplant, the medication they put me on made my face so fat. Like I just look like they have this thing called moon face that like I was a real skinny kid, and then like after one summer my face just like I looked like a balloon, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember going to, there's like a town carnival right you know, down the block here. Mm-hmm. And I remember going there with my other friend. It was my first time out after my kidney transplant, and you know, you're not even noticing. Yeah, like I knew I was. My face is a little different now, but like I wasn't paying too much attention to it. I guess you know, everybody around me was like, "You're fine," and then I saw like this one kid who I was friends with. Like I was in his class the last year. And I remember sitting there talking to him, and he looked at the other kid that I was with, and he goes, "You know who he looks like? He looks like Brendan Ryan." The guy had no idea I was Brendan Ryan.
Behind the fat face, I am. Yeah.
Wow.
It was weird, man. It was like,
what'd you say?
I was, you know, that's the thing. Like at that age, you don't know how to react to stuff. I think that's Like, so I was like, "Oh, that is me, man. I had a kidney transplant. My face is a little fat these days." I don't know what I said. But it's like, it's this weird thing. I don't think you're like equipped to deal with it all. So like you kind of become like, maybe you become a shitty person. I don't know. You just sort of deflect it.
You're not instructed on how to handle these situations. And it's like part of why it's so good to have these conversations is because people that are going through similar things can have a better idea of what it will be like. And like, you know, it's, even though it was obviously super, you know, devastating at the time, like that's pretty hilarious that somebody just looked at you and was like, "You look like the person that you are." Like,
that's pretty... you look like Brendan Ryan. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Look like you.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you're on dialysis, they need a way in, which is through I guess it's called a catheter, but mine was on my chest, and I was changing in the locker room, and you know, this whole freaking thing is sticking out, and one of my friends looks at me. He's like, "Dude, you're like a robot." And, you know, he's a dumbass 14-year-old kid, but I'm just like freaking devastated and crushed on the inside. Yeah. Want to die. But I'm like, robot, you know, like I can't even do anything. And I couldn't shower right? So like I had to sponge bathe. Like it was a freaking mess, bro.
Yeah.
On dialysis, you can't shower.
Well, the way my fucking whatever was going on, like it risks infection, right? When it's exposed.
Christ.
But yeah, like there's a version where they put it in the arm and they inject every time you go to dialysis. So that's a mess too. It's all a freaking mess, bro. You're a Frankenstein freak walking around. It sucks. But I mean, talk about like building character and like becoming an individual. You're just like, well, shit, these people's normal approval is never going to come around, or feels like never, at least, even though you are in fact normal and part of the group. But so like I was already geared toward introversion a little bit, so I just even introverted even more. And
I feel the same way. Yeah.
It's just but like, and so it messed up my education. Like I had to get a GED because I couldn't finish high school on time because I was freaking getting cut open and putting a kidney inside me. And so yeah, it's just it's a mess that you have to deal with outside of the medical stuff too. It's like it's a life mess.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Do you feel, Arthur? Do you feel better as like for gone through it though? Yes.
You know what? Okay. I don't know if you guys have heard people talk about like getting diagnosed with cancer, those, extreme cases where they kind of, they transcend giving a damn about the bullshit. And they're just like, look, just live life, just be happy on this spiritual shit. And like, I've done that twice and I'm not even 30. So like, my life is both great and a throwaway all at the same time. It's like I could die, but like I'm not dead now, so let's fucking do stand up. It's like it's so confusing. I don't know what to do with it. But yes, I do feel like a better person. I feel like I've been through some shit outside of that, like just family shit, just like all this weird freaking like. And now my brain is just starting to wrap itself around like, okay, you know what? You took your bruises, you took your lumps, but we've had some advantages too. Let's just make the rest of our life happen, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting thinking about like, all of these things that we go through. I mean, it feels like you're so alone while they're happening. Like, I mean, I can imagine just hearing you guys talk now about your two experiences. Like, I assume that you didn't at the time, like growing up in high school and stuff. Did you know anybody else that was going through this kind of stuff? Or
all the people that I was on dialysis with.
Right, but not in your
hell no, dude.
Everyday life.
Yeah, no,
I didn't have any. I wasn't even the first guy I met was I shared a room with this guy that had surgery the next day after me, had a kidney transplant the day after me. That's just, and that was crazy to me. I'm like, oh, this is a guy that has the same thing as me.
Yeah.
I didn't meet anybody that had the same thing as me, know?
Oh, it's funny because this is exactly how it felt with molestation. Like, even though there were so many kids that were going through the exact same thing, like you feel like you're the only one going through it at the time. And is particularly with molestation because it's like, so swept under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it. But in reality, it's like, it's so helpful to talk with other people that can empathize with your experiences. And just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think that if I had known somebody at the time who was like, yeah, I went through something like that, it would have made it so much easier. It's all very...
That brings it back to like when you do stand up and you mention this stuff and it's like, wow, I wasn't alone at all. This is all over the place.
You never are, dude.
You never are.
Yeah. Because, like, I'm sure you guys have gone through like terrible breakups.
Yeah.
Where you feel alone, right? But somebody has been stomped on even worse than you, bro.
Of course.
And there's solace in that. It's like, well, shit, she didn't do that to me. So
exactly.
like just, So
yeah, and it's not that it's, you know, there's a spectrum of the things that happen, but everybody's got stuff, and it's just like it's wild that most people never talk about it and feel like they can't talk about it for whatever reason. But yeah, we're all so fortunate to have found stand up. Not that you need stand up to, you know,
you do need an outlet though.
Yeah,
it's definitely an outlet. It's helped me tremendously. I think.
I think so as well. Yeah,
dude, and I'll say that, like, you guys were talking about people tensing up when you throw these topics at them. We become a manifestation of their problems a little. You know what I mean? Their problems are right in their face now. Yeah. And it might not be molestation. It might not be a kidney transplant, but it's like, oh, my trauma. No. Put that down. Stop. But like, you know, we're like mini versions of shrooms, dude, just bringing it out.
Well, it goes, and it can go the other way too, where people are like, maybe I've spoken with people that aren't, you know, in addition to the people that are like, oh, I didn't want to think about that, but now I am, you know, because you're talking about it. Yeah. I've also had people that are like, I didn't know that you could talk about it in a funny way. And people are like craving that outlet. Like they want another way to process these things that normally make them feel so bad for even bringing up.
May I ask you this, Brendan, because this is kind of unique to this situation. What do you think about future needing a kidney?
Oh man,
how does that enter your mind? And
it scares me, to be honest with you. It's something I don't like to think about. And I think that's a big reason why I'm not good with going to the doctor, because I feel fine, but like, I don't want to start hearing that, you know, it's time to start thinking about something.
We're getting to the core, baby.
Well, it's going to affect somebody else's life.
Right.
It's not just me.
And for us, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yes. What's the end of my life going to look like? That's what scares me. I'm not going to go retire in Florida or Arizona somewhere. I'm going to be on a dialysis machine. Is that it?
I don't know.
The end for me?
Or maybe, fuck, bro.
Or is the technology going to get better?
Don't make me cry. Actually,
wow.
I'll throw this at you. Okay, so I was in the process of trying to join the military recently. And you know what you do? You just don't mention that you're kidney transplanted until you have to. Mm-hmm. But so I was looking up a way to not take the meds, because that's the problem. You could have the transplant. It's the meds that are the problem. So there's this method they do at Stanford. So you get the person's kidney, and like I mentioned earlier, it's immune system. That's the problem with us, that will reject the taken in kidney. So what they do is they blast you with radiation, kill your immune system, and then take out bone marrow of the donor and implement that into your immune system.
Oh my goodness.
So you go without medicine for the rest of your freaking life.
And you just roll with that?
Yeah. So I'm not going to do the vaccine, but I will do this very experimental freaking Stanford shit.
Wow. That's interesting.
Wow. Fucking science, bro.
I feel like we're always on the cusp of something. So like, that makes me feel good. Yeah. It's like where we are right now is not where we're going to be in another 10 years. So.
Yeah. Not even close. No. And it's also like, you know, it's when you're thinking about death, and it's interesting that you're thinking about what it's going to be like right before you die. What is that last experience? You know, whose lives am I going to affect? Who's going to be affected as a result of me needing another kidney, for example? It's interesting that we spend so much time thinking about what it's going to be like, and yet, you know, I mean, who knows what'll actually happen, but it's very possible that technology will get to a point where these things are seamless, or maybe we'll be able to 3D print kidneys. And, you know, it's hard to know, but I do the same thing where I have a tendency to hypothesize about all these different situations that might happen, and it ends up just making the time that I do have worse. It's like, well, here goes the present moment just slipping away from me thinking about these hypothetical future scenarios that may never happen. But it's you know, it doesn't make it any easier necessarily thinking about them, but it's also like, you know, it's good to think about, because it does make you realize like how lucky we are to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. It's a Winnie the Pooh quote for you. Yeah, man, who knows? I didn't realize though that it was like a definitive thing. Like you will absolutely have to get another kidney. What is the time frame on that normally?
Dude, I've had my current one for 14 years. And to be perfectly honest, it's looking like time's up.
Really? Like you need one now?
Not right now, but like in maybe a year, 2, 3. So again, I don't give a damn about getting cut open, whatever. It's just that my life is going to have to be on pause. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to be dialysis boy and just more annoying than. And like you said, Brendan, it's not about me. It's about my mom's tears. It's about my grandma's tears. It's about my sister. Like it's like, I don't want to see other people, I don't want to be, because you're the source of pain as well, Yeah. I don't want to be that.
You're the reason that people have to deal with this.
Yeah.
But it's also so great that you have people that are happy to do it for you. I mean, that's pretty fucking awesome that
it is.
Both,
you're right.
People that were willing to do that. And, again, it's like, it's all how you look at these things. It's entirely, easy to say for me with my 2 kidneys, I guess. But, it's like, I don't know,
liver,
man.
your heart, all that shit.
Yeah. It's wild, man. But it's still cool to be able to see people that have been through what you guys have went through that are now able to talk and laugh about it. And I can't even imagine how many people that you guys have affected just by doing stand-up in like comedy clubs alone, And it's like, I guarantee you that if you were to show your material to people around the world that had been through these things, it would be like massively impactful. It's pretty awesome stuff. And I wanted to ask you guys just another thing. What would you say to somebody who is going through this right now, or maybe will go through something like this, in terms of your experience and getting to the point where you're at now, where you're able to laugh about it? Obviously, it's still hard. Of course, it always is. But having the ability to make jokes and look on the brighter side of these things that are often so negative. What would you say to somebody like that?
Oh, I don't know, man. That's
freaking heavy.
It is. I think everybody's got their own experience with it, their own journey, and just be grateful that you're in a situation where you can get a kidney and you have people that love you that are going to take care of you. And I think it's good to like look at the people around you that like, oh, look who cares for everybody. People care about you, like you have people that love you. And I think that's something to take away, that not a lot of people can see that. Or, even when I went through it, I didn't see it. But when you look back, it's pretty insane how many people were there for you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Totally, man.
I would say, even not specific to this case, but in general, but it's great for this. Don't take it personal. As odd as that sounds, you're just going through something, and that's okay. And everybody is. And live your life. Go climb a mountain, go swimming. I don't know, whatever.
Don't be a comedian though, because there's plenty of us out there.
Because mostly it sucks.
We don't need any more kidney comics.
We don't
enough on this call right now.
There's too many.
I don't need any other kidney comics. I don't need the competition.
Dude, I think that's both.
Climb a mountain, please.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to be defined by these things that have happened to you, and you can turn them into a positive if you're willing to accept that it happened to you, and that you can not only heal yourself but like heal so many people along the way. And it's like it really just comes down to your perspective on it, and recognizing that it may seem like you're the only person that's going through it, but not only are you not, but there are so many people out there who know exactly how you feel and can empathize with you. So I appreciate you guys saying that.
And tell your story. Like you have such a unique, beautiful story just for you. Tell it.
Yes.
Other people need to hear it. So if you're going through that, just spread it. Spread the love and tell everybody your story. Everybody needs to hear it.
It's powerful, man. Like I'm reading Bukowski right now.
Yeah.
It's all powerful, and like I don't know if you guys have heard this idea that like we are each other, right? So like everyone can relate to everyone, like So, because I am you talking to myself, and yes, like you said, that beautiful story, just spread it, man. It's powerful. It's very powerful.
It feels like people, I know I still do this, but especially when I was starting out, like I felt the need, not necessarily with molestation material, but I felt like I needed to come up with stuff, like fabricate these jokes and just like be funny, like make something funny happen, when it's like all of the good stuff is just the truth. It's like whatever your actual experience was, you can just go into that and figure out what really happened and be willing to accept what was going on in your mind and what actually happened. And that acceptance of the truth like really will set you free from it. Yeah. So I completely
dissect it and find everything that's wrong with you, and other people will relate to it in some way.
Absolutely.
Dudes, well, thank you both so much for doing this and coming on here. What are your guys' Instagrams? I know that podcasts, anything that you want to plug.
My Instagram is Brendan Ryan is fun. I believe I am. And I have a podcast called the Adult Babies Podcast, the Adult Babies Show. Check that out.
Yes.
Awesome, man. I definitely will. My IG is Rezian_Arthur. It's spelled Rezian. And whatever random stuff I make, it goes up there. So
perfect.
Find me.
Cool.
Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to do it.
Thanks for having us, man. That was fun.
Dude.
Man, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
It was.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to both of you again soon.
For sure.
Definitely. Man. Arthur, nice to meet you, man.
You too, Brendan.
Peace, fellas.